Welcome back, everyone, to Jurassic Palms 1998, our, Miami Vice, GTA Vice City, whatever you want to call it, inspired project in Jurassic World Evolution 3. We are already in the next episode. Technically, it's episode 3, but because we did take this Raptor Kitchen into the episode a little bit earlier, into the episodes, it's actually episode 4. Whatever, that should not bother you. Today we are building a Dimetrodon beach, and with that we are creating the beachfront, including a little bit of a skate park. And this skate park is kind of hilarious because I built that just for funsies, and I was like, okay, just test these things. You know, it's just more or less like a viewing opportunity where guests can sit and so on. But in the first episode, I don't know how many people actually commented about skating and rollerblading and all these kind of things, which, you know, is equally kind of iconic to that area. And I think because I didn't really talk about that earlier, I should do so now. I will obviously say that this is located somewhere on the West Coast, USA. I mean, I never really said that, but it just kind of makes sense in not only in the law of Jurassic Park, but as I said in the first episode, I kind of imagined that this was another side project of InGen. So, like, if, for example, Jurassic Park would be successful, just like almost a decade later or so, they planned maybe to open another one on mainland. And let's not talk about San Diego at this point. This one just didn't happen, didn't work out the way they wanted to. And also San Diego kind of was a bit of a project that was born out of a different situation. So this project may have been like a secret rescue project or whatnot, or actually not rescue, it potentially was the actual project they would have loved to do if Jurassic Park OG was possible. So yeah, that's kind of my idea to the timeline, and this is why I do think that this is based off of California somewhere. Maybe I kind of envision this being somewhere maybe, south of San Francisco, maybe, or maybe even further south. I don't know. Weather-wise, further south might actually make more sense than what that would be. But yeah, in any case, this is the base idea. And today we're building this Dimetrodon beach, which is more or less our first proper habitat. You can see already next to it is a lagoon, which is going to be filled in one of the next episodes as well. This one is going to be a bit more of a natural lagoon. I'm trying to do. It's been a little bit of a hard one to get this all together, and I promise in the next episodes they will be all a bit more straightforward and made in a more chronological way. Again, I've been carried away the first week, and maybe you've seen I built a random halo ring with a dinosaur habitat in it because I can, I guess. And yeah, as you can imagine, that happened also in between. I don't know why. My brain just sometimes tells me to. And as for the creative process, the worst thing you can do is to try to force yourself into something that doesn't really ease off your fingers in a way. And as I wanted to do as much as possible and as best as possible, I promised myself that I will let myself be carried away if my brain says so, to really ensure that I use the most creative potential I have at hand in the early access time. So I do. And this is one of the last little bits over here that we are doing from the early access week. Most of the stuff that you'll be seeing next is, already from after the launch, and basically including all your comments. I will, as I said, try to include most of the comments already in the voiceover and, try to answer a lot of the questions that you guys have raised. So in the last episode, I talked about the origin of the architectural style and why it borrows so much from the 80s as well. So that was definitely a thing I could already take from these comments. But also, as people have said, maybe a little bit too little dinosaurs involved so far. Yes, you're right. From now on, every episode should contain a proper dinosaur habitat, That is my preference for now, but I needed to kind of get all the other things planned. Even though I would love to make, and don't laugh at me, okay, but I do want to make like a proper parking lot kind of thing. We don't have one. Like, we have a wonderful monorail station, we have a lot of other things, but we don't really have a parking lot. And we are in the US. We have freaking in the US, and that everyone would come with a car, or at least a huge part of them. Like, when I've been to the US, I thought Germany was car focused. Oh boy, that I was shown what a car-focused society is like in the US. That is insane. Like that you guys don't really drive from from the garage to your front door. That's all. Like I'm sorry, but I was really shocked as a German. Who kind of I don't know why, but we feel like as if we were the origin of car-focused societies in the world. But in a way, we are not. At the end, that's a bit of the surprise I had. Anyways, let's quickly talk about the habitat itself, because again, this is our first proper habitat, and you can see that is the first one receiving a proper little backstage area, at least an applied one this time around. I will make a proper one very soon, but in this one, I ran out of space, let's put it that way. And I wanted to keep it as clean as possible. So the idea is that we do have like a bit of a backstage area sunken below that pier. I kind of like that, but it's been a bit of a stretch to do that. So as for the habitat itself, it's going to be mostly the beach, but they will receive a rather huge swimming area where they can, enjoy the time, and they will also get like a little island that they can get to. So it's quite a sizable habitat for them. It's not super hyper big, and as for the dinosaur needs, I will also need to change a couple things in this habitat to really meet them. It's, for me, basically a bigger change than I thought, In Planet Zoo, these type of smaller habitats, even for larger animals, do work, let's say rhinos or elephants or something like that. But in Jurassic Park Evolution 3, or just Jurassic World Evolution, I should say, in the games, the requirement for space is proportionally seen way bigger than what it is in the zoo game, even though, I have a hard time thinking about it because, we don't really know about the habits of these animals, but it's kind of funny that we care them in a different way than we would with real life animals. Say, a rhino of the same kind of, it's not really as a Triceratops, but you get the idea, and we are like, Triceratops has like a huge demand for a habitat in this game, and then you're getting into the rhino in Planet Zoo, and you're like, oh yeah, fine, that small thing is totally fine and enough space requirement for them. So that's been very interesting to think about the whole time. But I get it, in a way I do get it, because it's rather frustrating to see these tiny habitats in general. But as these dinosaurs are extinct for a couple million years already, we don't really know exactly about their living habitats and living behavior and habits, I should say. It's very interesting. For me personally, I love digging into these type of thoughts and processes behind, and it's also fun, like how much we care about, or not we, I don't really do that, but like I've got a lot of people in the comments here really being crazy on the pronunciation of animals, which is fine, but also about the accuracy of them and what they're used to being and so on. And I'm almost like, yeah, if you rely on the current state of science, yes, that is, but there are only just a few dinosaurs where there is a relative good base of knowledge where you can at least say certain things, but in relation to what we know, there is no way we could define how an animal really, really lived back in the day, because we just know too little. We just know too little about the foliage, the fauna, and how the entire world used to be. We know too little about how nursing and stuff like that worked, and so we obviously do kind of imply a lot of things, and we try to reverse engineer a lot of things and using modern day examples for that, which obviously is fine because there is no other reference. But as there is such a huge gap to be filled, it's very hard for me to always think about that like as a fact. If you take, for example, like a lion or a giraffe or an elephant, if people tell me in Planet Zoo that I do something wrong about what they do in behavior, there's like a million data on these animals. They've been monitored for decades, centuries. So we have almost every single, and even then, still, if you talk to zoologists or so, they still tell you that we know. I was about to say, but we don't really know that much about animals after all. We think we do, but we don't. And, translate that to extinct animals. That's why I'm just going wild with my projects over here. It's, at the end of the day, it's a game, you know, and I want to have fun with it, but I'm still trying to make somewhat believable habitats, which I still think this habitat is turning out to be. This is going to be a believable Dimetrodon habitat. And as you can see, I'm putting now a bit of a viewing area on top of here, using some of the half pipes as kind of a idea to make that. I imagine that specifically younger people will have a lot of fun going there. And as I said in the last episode, part of my idea was also that the whole main street, by the way, you can see that I built this earlier because the main street in fact wasn't done at this point. A bit of hilarious here, but yeah. So my process was like that. The main street over here, this region could be opened for other kind of events, even in closure times of this park. So I thought that little skate park could also be a very cool event location, paired with the other side, you know, of where I said already that this main street could become somewhat of a business center, if you will. And you know, it comes in very handy that people do spawn on these tables. Like, I remember opening the game and noticing that they are spawning to that one. I was a little bit mad, but then I was like, you know, actually it's kind of fun because it's a bit more versatile, since we don't have the ability to have raised path or whatsoever, or bridges or whatnot. You know, we wouldn't get people in special locations like that, but with the ability of them basically spawning, as long as you have something interesting in the region and people technically would be close to that bench, they will spawn on them. And I'm kind of happy that they do, because it just offers creative freedom. However, when they finally would be giving us more control over the guests and just bridges and stuff, I would love them seeing a change in here, that you would also either they spawn on them, but also if the benches are in reach, that we do get an animation of people actively sitting down them. If you're wondering what I'm doing here, we're almost done with the time lapse. I'm building a little buoy because we need that one as like a separation item for the water area. We don't want our Dimetrodons to swim everywhere, you know, we want them to be contained, and this is what I'm doing over here. I had a bit of a hard time finding out the right version of it, but I'm quite happy with the one I have right now, making sure it's kind of almost like, it seems like as if it's floating a little bit with it. And so I was building this fence into the water to make sure they cannot escape through the water. A relatively simple trick, but I'll show you better in the real-time part, because then we can look at what this all looks right now. I'm so curious. Let's do it. Alright, so let's have a look at this wonderful creation over here. So you can see this is the Dimetrodon beach we have over here. So you can find some specimens already having a good time on this side. One is snacking on a little goat. The other ones are just roaming around a little bit, you know, having a very good time. In the background, you can see there is our main street. It's all becoming very nice now. It's looking very nice, and you can see how this all ties together slowly. I needed to change a little bit about the beach. You can see it's a little bit bigger than it used to being before. I gave them a bit more space and a bit more arid to run around. And you can see this is what I meant lately with the LODs. It just takes so long until the DJ starts playing, no, until the detail kicks in. It's kind of crazy, because if you go close, the game looks absolutely hilariously good, but if you are far away, the detail just vanishes so quickly. But oh my god, doesn't that look fantastic here with the Dimetrodons, them with the sails, and yeah, just having a good time over here. And also the shallow water looks so good. You know, it also looks fun when they are like, you know, hunting after the goats and they moving in here. I mean, let alone with the tools for the habitat build, like the normal landscaping tools, already the habitats look so much better than in the last game. But with all the tools at hand, it is just so insanely good. I am wondering if and that's the question I have, is if there's anything I can really change about it. Also, that is such a cool pattern here that just kind of created with the terrain. This is, by the way, the buoys, as you can see in the water. They're now like touching slightly the water, making sure they cannot escape through that fence, which works pretty fine. You know, they just can't swim through that one, and it's all good, even though it's quite a large area for them to swim in. I could have made this even smaller, but I was like, why not? You know, that's a fairly nice beach area over here, and does cover the whole thing nicely. And I'm not really willing to change anything. It's really looking damn good, so why would I change too much about this? But there is more to seeing, and this is our wonderful area here. As you can see, this is the little, as I said, the little area, which is the main viewing kind of opportunity as well. But as I said earlier, I need to kind of find a solution for that. I'm not the biggest fan of the viewing galleries themselves, but as you know, in order to be a popular park, you need to have the people see the dinosaurs. I'm going to show you in a second what my current idea is, but I'll have to see about that. So there is no guest or so over here because they technically can't see the animals because there is no viewing. I definitely think Frontier should tackle that. It's, for me personally, it's such a weird thing because like we have all the freedom right now, all the capabilities of that game, but then people don't really see the animals other than through a viewing gallery item. But like obviously you can see through these walls, right, or these items. I was fine in the first game and I kind of relate to that in the second game. I can see this, but now it starts to feel, I mean, it already felt being a little bit odd with the invisible fences, to be honest, but now it's completely odd, you know. I want to have people standing over here or sit. I mean, I can fake this by having seats over here, but then it doesn't count as seeing the animal, which is definitely something that they need to look into. So my thought process is, by the way, they do sit over here. This is the next episode, by the way, don't look at that. But it's not the finished one, it's just one part of it. This is a save in which I still have all the escape issues. Never mind that. They're roaming around here, they're having a good time, as you can see. Very good time they have, you know, they come over, have a look. This is also not the final version of this habitat we made lately. As you can see, the Dimetrodon is in, but I mean, I need to change this habitat anyways. There's a lot I wanted to change about this first little habitat. I'm not even sure if I keep that, to be completely honest with you. The more I get into the project, I feel like this has to be one huge main street instead. And you know, it was a good idea to having some smaller animals in here, but somehow I don't feel it. I have a different idea of what I can put in here, so maybe I'm doing this, but for the moment I guess I'm getting rid of it because like I think I can do better. I can do better about that. This was one of the first things I did, and I was happy with this at the first glance, but you know. So about my idea, how to get the viewing in. So as I said, at the moment there's no viewing. We've got the animal encounter over here, which drags a lot of attention to this area, but there is no real issue and no real guidance to this habitat. But what we can do is we could definitely take a viewing platform and create a custom design, which there is a, where's the tour route? Where's that one? Okay, it's somewhere over here is the tour route, but I think I can, yeah, I can somehow bring this tower over here. The thing is, I have to rotate the whole thing in order to bring it into the right position. So as you can tell, now the viewing goes, I mean, I could put this here, but that is not where I want it. I want it somewhere over here. And I'm not sure why the whole thingy doesn't let me do it. I think then I have to reposition the tour. Let's see where the tour bus goes. Hold on. Okay. Well, I mean, I can definitely change that. So maybe this is somewhere over here. I'm wondering though, why brick path? Brick standard path? Huh? It's so odd. I thought, you know, these things I can place anywhere, but it seems like you can't. Where the heck would be the first point to put it? Somewhere, wait, there you go. This is nice. Oh, this is actually a pretty good spot, as you can see. This is going to be a good spot. So I'm putting that somewhere here, and then actually locating this with the other one. Like I have built already something in this location in the newest file, but it was later that I figured where to put certain things. But this could be a very nice location for a main piece on the main street anyways, like a main building, somewhat of a weenie kind of thing. So I'm thinking that I'm doing this, and I'm going to utilize this building as a main kind of viewing for this habitat. This is kind of the idea, and what I could always do is I could then also, to just maximize the effect, we could use one of the dome viewings and put that in here if needed. So for example, down here would be a very nice spot indeed. So kind of crank that in here. I'm not sure what happens though. Wait, hold on. There you go. Well, it kind of flattens the area, but I could really nicely try to embed that in the stone a little bit nicer. it just, oh my god, it lowered the entire area. Have you seen that? Oh my god. So I may actually put this somewhere else and then put the entrance also with this building, so it's all becoming one coherent build over there. Kind of thinking a little bit forth and back. I have already done something in this area, but I guess I have to re-evaluate what I wanted to do with this. But yeah, so as it stands, this is our current version of this region. As I said, the backstage we're going to talk about in a different episode, and the entrance area over here, as I said, this is like a huge area where we can have parking lots, a lot of parking lots, and we've got so many easy pieces to relatively quickly create these kind of parking lots. But what I also want to have is like a huge kind of highway, like a fake highway getting in here. This is basically one of the ideas I have, and you know, from what you hear, you know where my pieces go, you know. But for the moment, I'm fairly happy with the start. It doesn't seem like much, but we will make ground now. We will make a way bigger park in no time, simply because the habitats will become bigger and bigger. You know, as I said last time around, this velo habitat, you've seen the one, is already looking different. It's gonna look a lot different. We will have the Tyrannosaurus Rex over here in a sec. I was about to say, but not in a sec. Maybe next week somewhere. Again, I'm very much looking forward to that, but I have to do some little things. Anyways, I really hope you guys enjoyed today's episode with the first proper habitat. I am fairly happy with this Dimetrodon beach. I think it turned out very pretty, a very nice and believable habitat indeed. So that's something I'm also relatively happy about and also very proud of, because this is just what it should be. And yeah, I can't wait to talk to you, hear you, whatever, read your comments in this episode. And again, as in all the other episodes as well, if you're new to the channel, if you like the content, you want to see more, make sure to subscribe to the channel and let me know what you would love to see in this game. If you're like a fan of the Jurassic World franchise, let me know what I could improve on to make it more relatable for you and approachable and appreciable, I guess, at the end of the day. Let me know. Constructive criticism always appreciated, and I hope you guys enjoyed. And if in any case, thank you so much as always, and bye.